It made me think about the only traveling I really did growing up. I've mentioned in previous videos that I rarely ever stayed anywhere overnight growing up. At most, I can only really remember Disney World Round 1, Florida in 2008, upstate New York in 2011, and Florida again in 2013 before another 5 years until upstate New York when I was 21. Which is why I wanted to talk about this article I found. An 8-hour vacation? Meet the travelers who love extreme day trips. Taking advantage of low cost airlines and crowdsourced tips, time crunched tourists can pack big adventures into a single day. Now, for those of you who know my story about my little Halloween outing to Boston, how packing too much into one day didn't end the way I thought. You know that you've got to be smart about this. And it might not be for everyone. Now, of course, I was gone from 7:30 a.m. until I think it was 10:30 I got home. Probably around there cuz yeah, around then cuz that gave me enough time to record the video that I put out the next day. But I digress. Let's see what 8-hour vacations are all about by Aaron Gifford. When Damian Nichols of Chandler, Arizona, craves fajitas from his favorite Mexican restaurant, De Corazon in Denver, he doesn't just dream about it. He and his wife book a 2-hour flight. We go up for lunch and just turn around and come back, Nichols said matter of factly, as if this is a totally reasonable thing to do. The kicker? At about $70, the whole trip rings up for less than a typical dinner in Scottsdale. Wait, does the whole thing cost, the whole experience cost $70, or does the meal alone cost $70? Okay, it looks like the rest of it's gonna explain it. What's the trick? Nichols' escapades are aided by Frontier Airlines' Go Wild annual pass, an all-you-can-fly subscription service that launched in late 2022 for travel starting in the spring of 2023. For an annual fee starting at $600, $599 to be exact, the deal lets members book domestic flights for 1 penny plus taxes, provided they book no earlier than the day before departure. Wait, so you still have to pay something for it? Honestly, this would be like if Netflix charged you a penny per movie you watched or episode of a show that you watched. Extreme day trips, in which travelers fly out in the morning, sightsee, or just grab a leisurely meal, then fly home, might seem outrageous, but the concept has been popular in the UK for years now. A bounty of low cost airlines and relatively short distances between European cities make such quick hit getaways surprisingly doable. Now, as user friendly flight tracking sites and programs like the Go Wild Pass proliferate stateside, a growing number of American travelers have embraced the no-tel, short for no hotel required, lifestyle. We did this all the time growing up, except without airplanes, because, as I mentioned, I've only been on airplane 2006, 2008, 2013. No, there was another one in 2013, 2025, 4, 9 times. Most of the what is this called again? Extreme day trips. We would drive up to somewhere in New Hampshire or Maine, spend a couple of hours doing our thing, and then go home. And we'd be home by dinner time, or like 8 o'clock at the latest, because me and my brother and sister had a bedtime of 9 p.m., and my parents actually enforced that. So before I continue in the article, allow me to go into a little more detail. We'd go up to Fun Spot at Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire. And on that same day, we'd also go to Jellystone Park. It was basically a Yogi Bear themed park. It was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, we'd do that, but we'd always be home before bedtime, if not before dinner, because that's how we rolled. My parents didn't want to pay for a hotel because for 5 people it would have cost quite a bit and it wouldn't have been worth the effort. We'd also go up to Old Orchard Beach for a day trip. Like sometimes we'd meet my uncle from upstate New York there. He and my cousins stayed the night at least one time because they live a lot further away than we do, so bit of a different situation, but that was our example of extreme day trips. My family was more into that than long-term trips like Disney World or uh what was it? Disney World and basically anywhere further than that where we couldn't be home by dinner time or if not bedtime. I've kind of picked up that habit like when I went to the South Shore Plaza in December, or basically when I went to the Museum of Science, the Guy Fieri restaurant, which I just found out closed down, so I can't go back there when I go to visit the Goodwill Hunting Bench. And then the Rocky Horror Picture Show with the full body cast. Of course, it helps that I live not too far away from a major metropolitan area with a city that has quite a bit to offer. Now let's get back to the article. Social media fuels the buzz. New York City based traveler Kevin Droniak. Sorry, I just remembered my mom, sister, and grandmother went on one of these extreme day trips to New York City. They had to take an Amtrak, but they were able to go there for the day and be home by the end of, by bedtime. They were home by bedtime from New York City. Anyway, New York City-based traveler Kevin Droniak, who chronicles his extreme day trips, some to places as far-flung as London and Paris, has racked up more than 190,000 Instagram followers. You know what? I have a very nice iPhone camera. Comment if you'd watch a channel dedicated to travel where I go around and travel places and show them off. You know what? I'm realizing back when I drove, I should have done extreme day trip vlogs to show off how you can go somewhere for a day and be home by dinner time, if not bedtime. Droniak scours Expedia and Google Flights for cheap round-trip fares, aiming to pay less than $250 for domestic trips and under $500 for international. While he prefers Delta for reliability, ultimately, I really tend to go with just whatever's cheapest. I just love to get on a plane and go somewhere new. Are you sure it's not cheapest for a reason? Well, if it works for him, as I always say, I respect his decision, even if I don't agree with it. Like, I had to convince my mom to pay a little extra to get me some legroom because I'm a tall guy. It was worth it. Though, pro tip, do not take the first row in a flight because you only get one space to, because can only store your carry ons in the overhead luggage. I had to learn that the hard way. Nichols, who has taken nearly 60 such jaunts to cities like Houston and San Diego from his home airport in Phoenix, routinely wakes up by 5 a.m. on a Saturday, sees where he can go, and books a flight on the spot. Websites like the 1491 Club ease planning, a subscription service that pinpoints same day return flights on Frontier. It also tracks offerings from a handful of other budget carriers. When you can visit a place for the day for $30, it's kind of like, why not? Said co founder Brad Nelson. People are addicted to it. Across the pond, no-tell trips can seem even more routine. The Facebook group Extreme Day Trips counts 314,000 members, many of whom regularly hop around Europe on budget carriers like Ryanair and EasyJet. The group was founded by Michael Cracknell, a UPS driver from Brighton, UK, who started it to show people that you can do more in a day than you think, he said. Software developer Rick Blythe launched the unaffiliated website and mobile app Extreme Day Trips in late 2024 to help UK based travelers discover same day flight options. Though it's currently free, Blythe plans to introduce a premium version later this year, featuring upgrades like advanced search filters and real time price alerts. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a thing back when the UK was part of the European Union. Because as apparently if you live in the European Union, if you're a citizen of the European Union, you can. I've heard you can move more freely among the countries that are members of the European Union. Comment down below if that's true. Want to give it a whirl? To hedge your bets, experienced extreme day trippers suggest choosing destinations with several same day return flights. Think major hubs like Chicago or Houston. Frontier's Go Wild Pass works best for travelers based in cities like Denver and Atlanta, where that airline has a strong presence, maximizing options. Droniak really readily admits that his adventures can fall short of glamorous. A day trip to a Puerto Rico beach might sound dreamy, but in reality it can mean spending hours in a sopping wet shirt after a morning rainstorm, then with no access to a real shower, squeezing, still soggy, into an economy seat in the back of the plane to get home. When it comes to day trips, you have to embrace any kind of weather, he noted in a recent Instagram video. Flight delays can also torpedo the best laid plans, and if you miss your return flight, you might have to shell out for a hotel, defeating the whole no-tell premise. But then there are bragging rights. Cracknell once took his 80-year-old dad and two brothers to Athens for the day. We went to the Acropolis, had a three-course lunch, and everything came to £147 each, about $160, he recalled. If I'd just bought a train ticket to Athens, that alone would have cost about $200. Wow. That is I admire the whole I admire the hustle. I admire the creativity. But sometimes I wonder, why was it like that in the first place? Now, I never really missed out on much that I couldn't do without staying the night at the likes of the area of Lake Winnipesaukee for going to Fun Spot or Old Orchard Beach. I basically was able to do everything I wanted to do within a single day. And I'm going to guess that my parents checked the weather of the area before bringing us there, because I don't really recall any rain ruining any of those particular trips. Well, of course, for Fun Spot, it wouldn't really matter. Actually, if it was raining in the area, Fun Spot was a-okay because it's an indoor place, so if it rains, who cares? So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because it got me thinking about my past talks about traveling, and it made me think about the only traveling I really did growing up. Beyond the 3 trips to Florida at the ages of 9, 11, and 16, respectively. Yeah, those are the ages I was. Of course, none of them were as far flung as that. Like, I don't see myself being able to take a spontaneous day trip to Florida to visit my grandparents and be home in time for, I'd say more realistically, home in time for bed. I would probably have to eat dinner at the very latest when I'm